The Discover College Soccer podcast is sponsored by VIO. VIO is the #1 AI camera solution helping players capture college recruitment videos. Check out their new starter and family options by clicking on the link in the description or visit Discover College Soccer to learn more. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Kat from Metro State University in Denver. Welcome, Coach.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Excited to talk to you today. As mentioned just before, I tried to go and see campus a little bit the last time I was in Denver, although the school was closed. But we got to see that nice soccer field you have there in a downtown environment, which is always good. I went to school in downtown DC, so I know exactly what that's like. Um, but we're talking here. It's March. It's kind of the height of showcase season. So where are you guys at kind of this time of year with your recruiting? Kind of give me your standard recruiting calendar in terms of how much are you done with 24s and still trying to get a few moved on to 25s? What's that look like for you this time of year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's been awesome to be, in downtown Denver. We have a lot of soccer in Colorado, so that's easy for us to get on the road and hit a lot of the regional games, the league games. There's tournaments that happen over the summer. But with us with Division II, we are finalizing our 24 class. It was a smaller class for us this year, so we were really particular on the positions that we were looking for, and kind of thorough within that search. And so our goal is to be finalized with that. But we'll also look at the transfer portal from Division I when that opens up at the end of May, around that time or the beginning of May time. So, we're always going to look to see if anyone can come in and add value this late in the game. But with the 25s, we've identified, we've contacted, this spring we're going out to watch them again, inviting them on campus, any of the local ones to come around for our spring games. And then obviously in the summer, moving into August, really trying to get them to come out to our home games and get a feel for what it's like to be a student athlete in downtown Denver. And so I think that's been our priority, is getting some of the 25s on campus, identifying them, and then really honing in. So it's a bigger class for us. So I think we're a little bit more aggressive in that 25 class compared to our 24 class.
Okay. Well, are there events that are kind of on your must visit list, and any tournaments that you make sure you're at every single season?
Yeah, there's a lot of tournaments in the West Coast. We have MSU Denver, we have the WUI Scholarship. So we tend to focus a lot of our recruiting on the West Coast teams. I'd love to get into Texas and Kansas, and there's some, great Midwest student athletes out there as well. But just financially, where we are with our recruiting, you have the ECNL showcase, the GA showcase, and then a lot of the local club ones. There's the Real tournament in Memorial Day. You have the Players Showcase in Las Vegas. Surf Cup is a big one for us that we'll hit up, because they have a lot of clubs that aren't in the ECNL or aren't in the GA league. And there's a lot of players out there that either for some reason or the other don't play ECNL or they don't play in the GA league. And so it's important for us to really, find our niche of that student athlete that wants to come down in downtown Denver, but also make sure that we cover all the players out there, because there's so many teams out there. There's so many players out there. And there's some fantastic players that don't play on these big teams for one reason or the other. Maybe be location and where they are, maybe be financially, maybe because their best friend plays on a team that they want to play with. And so that's important for us to make sure that we watch all the different leagues out there.
For sure. Well, if you're going to be at the Players in Vegas, maybe I'll see you there. We're bringing our Florida girls up. So,
Oh,
um,
perfect.
yeah. Well, another thing that seems to have changed over the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years is kind of the proliferation of ID camps. So do you guys offer your own? How important are the ID camps to your overall recruiting process?
The ID camps, I've been very fortunate to have coached at some different universities as well. They are important. Every year we commit one, if not two players from our ID camps. And, it goes back to my times. I was the head coach at University of Oregon for a while, and some of our greatest players that we committed were from ID camps. And so we have a big one that we have in the spring, but we invite other coaches to come in. So we have guest coaches from UCLA, Utah, and Hawaii that come in for that one. And then we have some smaller ones, one in the fall that's, like a smaller camp that we've invited a bunch of those kids that we've already seen maybe once or twice, and we want to get a better feel for them. And we want them to get a better feel for us, right? Who are we as coaches? What is the training schedule look like? Maybe in the fall, we have it around one of our games so they can watch a game. In the winter, we have another one that's smaller. But we do. I think it's important to have the players come in and you get to work with them a little bit more. You get to spend time with them. You get to see what their personality is like and if they're having fun. And maybe they're in a group with mixed levels. And so, like, how do they handle that group? And are they having fun at the at the ID camp? So you get to know their character, and then they get to see you, see if this is the spot for them. And there are a lot of ID camps out there. I agree. And I think it's important. Some of the tips that I say with recruits is if you're going to an ID camp and you haven't had any communication with that coach, email them, right? Let them know that you're coming to their ID camp. Give them a little, introduction of who you are and why you're coming to that ID camp. And then during that camp, go and say hi, right? Introduce yourself. Some ID camps, have a couple hundred players. Some ID camps are 30 to 50. And so, just depending on, what you're looking for in your experience. But I do think it is a tool that a lot of coaches use.
Well, whether it's at an ID camp or any of these events or anything like that, kind of what makes up, your hierarchy of things that you're looking for in a player, whether that's off the field attributes or on the field attributes.
Yeah, it depends on where we are with our recruiting cycle. This year, to give you an example, we only graduated 3. So we were a little bit more specific on the needs and what we were looking for. But I mean, it goes back to our principles and what we're looking for in our player identification. We'll go through all the 4 pillars of the game: physical, what are they like? What is their physical traits? Like, what is their special quality? We always go, okay, we might be looking at 10 outside backs, but what's going to separate them, right? Do they have a huge engine? Do they have a great left foot? Are they a really good 1v1 defending artist? And, so we'll look at, physically, tactically, technically, and then mentally, right? What is their attitude like? How are they with failure or a mistake? How are their interactions going with their teammates, with the referee, with their coaches? So there's a lot of things that we look at, but we'll sit down once we look at that. I like to watch them playing different environments. If I can get to 3 different environments, that would be great. That'd be ideal. But sometimes it's not. Maybe sometimes we watch film and it catches our eye, and then we're going out to watch a game, or maybe we have them come into an ID camp and then we want to watch one more time in a game setting. So it's a little bit different. But I always say, like know what your special quality is and be that, right? So if you're a 10, be a 10, right? Try not to be a winger. And what is your special attributes? Or do you have great feet? Do you have a good engine? Are you a leader? Are you a beast in the air? And then those are the things that we look for when we're identifying or we're trying to separate one player from another.
Okay, awesome. Well, let's shift gears a little bit, talk about the school. Again, I've been lucky enough to visit campus, but I'm sure there's folks
Sure.
maybe not familiar with it. So you've been there a couple years now. Kind of give me, what do you think are some of the awesome parts about the school? Maybe some things we wouldn't know even just by going through the website.
Sure. Yeah, I really fortunate to, get this job 3 years ago. And I'll be real honest with you. I was Division 1. I was in Power 5. I spent my time a little bit all over the place, and this position opened up. And the more research I did on Division 2 and the more research I did on MSU Denver, the more I got excited about it. And really the history of MSU Denver, we've won 2 national championships. And so there's a foundation of success. But as a whole, you look at the RMAC conference, which is the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. It's a great conference. There's some great coaches, some great teams, some great players that have come around here. And as a coach, I wanted to be challenged as a coach to be able to be competitive and continue to grow as a coach myself. And so I came up to MSU Denver on an interview. Well, it was during COVID, so the interview was all over Zoom. But I wanted to come up and see what campus is like, right? It's downtown Denver. I grew up in DC, so I know some downtown schools in DC. I know Portland State. I mean, there's a lot of schools, DePaul, Rice, that are in a city. And I wanted to just go experience it. What's Denver like? What is the special thing that makes MSU Denver so special? And it's awesome. It's tucked in right on the west side of the city. You have Ball Arena where the Nuggets play and the Avs play, both world champions, if you will. Across the street, the Broncos play. Hopefully, they'll be winning a championship soon. And so there's a lot of electricity, a lot of vibrance that comes through the city. Concerts, different events that come through the city. And then, of course, you look out west and you have the beautiful Rocky Mountains. You cannot go, without noticing them on a daily basis. And that is just a huge background and a playground for tons of people in the summer months for hiking. You have skiing, snowboarding. We have a good amount of our players that like to go up to the mountains and go snowboarding in the winter. And by all means, go for it, right? These players want to go out and, enjoy the winter months, and why not? So I want our players to take advantage of the resources that we have. But some of the things that I've learned since I've been here are the internships capabilities, right? Our players have, real live hands-on experience within their majors. We have a cool sports management degree that you have to do a internship with one of the pro teams here. So we've had, softball player in the locker room when the Nuggets won the national, and when they won the championship. We've had athletes that have done internships with the Rockies, with the Avs, and with the Rapids. And so that's really cool that you're going to walk away with some hands-on experience. And that's one of the things that I've kind of looked away with going the great things about being downtown or the resources that we have academically, that maybe a small college town in the middle of, in the mountains or something along that, they don't have those resources. And so, and then the next thing for us, our facilities are fantastic. We have a brand new turf, brand new LED lights. Our athletic department has invested a lot in our facilities. And it shows, and that's something that our players and fans, when you come down, it's a great game day experience, and we want our players to have that game day experience.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, one of the things a student athlete has to, contend with is being a student and an athlete, right? So how
Right.
do your players specifically kind of balance the demands of the classroom as well as on the field, and what kind of support systems does the school offer to help them be successful in both avenues?
Yeah, I mean, it's first you're a student, then you're an athlete, and it's really important that our players have those goals and getting their degree. And then what is that like after college, right? And I think it's important, we practice in the morning, so it's really great. Everything we do, we're done before 10 a.m. And then after that, they can go in and do their classes. We have priority registration, so that's going to help you meet with your academic advisor to kind of, plan out what that looks like. Study hall, different tutoring services that are available to our student athletes, writing labs that are available. And then, MSU Denver is unique in the sense that we have very few classes on Friday as well. So we don't miss a lot of classes. So when we travel and we're going up on a road trip out to Utah or down south to New Mexico, our players aren't missing class on Fridays. So that's been an added bonus. But for the most part, women's soccer players are pretty diligent in the classroom. They want to get that 4.0 that they're used to, or something along those lines. And so we have a pretty decent team GPA, but that goes from our student athletes being committed, but also the resources and support that we have for them throughout their journey here.
Oh, that's great. Well, you mentioned it a little bit. You say you practice in the morning, but let's rewind to maybe October, the heart of that conference schedule, what would a typical week look like for your players in terms of when practices, classes, meals, games, all that kind of thing?
For sure. I mean, it's interesting you bring up October. I always say October is the hardest month, right? It's the hardest month. September's fun because it's new and it's the grind, and then all of a sudden October hits and you're in the middle of midterms, you're in the middle of RMAC conference, and the fatigue factor has set in. And so, we play majority of our games on Friday, Sunday, sometimes Thursday, Sunday. And with that being said, Monday's typically a recovery day off. You're going in on your own to do some sort of rehab. And then Tuesday we'll lift, and Tuesday we try to push them a little bit on Tuesdays. And then Wednesday's our functional training day. That's usually about, none of our practices go longer than 90 minutes, and especially in October, you're probably looking at 60, 75-minute long training sessions. And then match day -1 is important for us. We don't want it to be an easy session. We just minimize the minutes, right? The intensity is still hard, so we make sure our players are getting out there ready. But along those lines, on Tuesday, we'll also do film. We'll break down the weekend's games. We'll show those films. They will lift Tuesday. They'll do a lift on Thursday on the match day -1, and that's a real short, explosive lift. And then we also do a scouting report. We break down all the opponents. We'll break that down. But, the typical rhythm is we'll do a post-match analysis, and then we'll do a scouting report. And then along that week, we'll have individual film sessions if those players want that. We have heart rate monitors, so the players wear those. And we also have a huddle camera system that they have all practices and games that are sent to their email, and they can have any access that they want with that.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Well,
Mhm.
let's shift gears, talk a little bit more about the team. I know you mentioned, you have varying recruiting class sizes and things like that, but is there a roster size overall that you find is ideal that you guys are trying to hit each year?
That's a good question. I'm still kind of playing around with that. I have found like 28 is a good number, right? You have 3 goalkeepers, maybe 4 goalkeepers. Inevitably, someone unfortunately gets hurt, and so you're right down. If you have 28, you're 24 field players. You're probably hovering around healthy 22 field players. And I have found that's a good number, because then now you're playing full field. We also have male practice players that come out for us, and so that's fun to add into there. I mean, right now we have 25 on our roster. Knock on wood, only one is on the sideline. We only graduated, 3 last year, so we have all of our heart of our team back, and so the spring has been fun, the winter has been fun. But ideally, anywhere in between that 26 to 30. 32 is pushing it for me. I think it's a lot, but it just really depends on, injuries. I mean, that's really why we're carrying a big roster, and then also to prepare for just in case the injuries do happen. So,
Sure. Well, the other part
yeah.
of a roster is the coaching staff, right? So besides yourself, talk to me about the rest of your coaching staff. How many are there? What roles do they play? Maybe what other support staff help out with the team that are in the athletic department?
Sure. We have a full-time assistant coach, and currently new. We just hired her in January. She's fantastic. She was a former head coach in the RMAC, so that's really nice to have that. And then we have 2 part-time assistant coaches. We have a former player, and she comes out for trainings and does a lot of the individual work, which has been really helpful for us in our development. And then we have a goalkeeper coach who comes out throughout the practices and games, and comes out a little bit more heavily in the fall than he does in the spring. So technically 4 assistant coaches. We do have a volunteer coach that comes out periodically throughout the spring, and a full-time trainer that works with us, a full-time strength conditioning coach that works with us. And that's really our heart of our, community, if you will. From there, in the department, we have academic, we have compliance, we have full-time media, all the staff there that are, and that's the one thing that I would say is, you're a smaller knit athletic community, athletic department, But with that being said, everyone's there supporting one another. Our admin is out there, and they really do a great job of putting on a game day experience for our student athletes and our players. We have a nutritionist, we have an orthopedic that comes on, we have, chiropractor that's around there. So we have a lot of stuff off the field that provide for our student athletes.
That's fantastic. All right. Well, now I got to ask about you though, as the head coach. How would you describe kind of your coaching style and the style of play that you're looking to implement there?
Sure. I like to have fun. And having fun is, working hard with the student athletes, right? I want to really find a way to develop our student athletes, right? And that is something that's important for us in the sense of creating environment where we're trying to get the most out of them, hold them accountable, but also give them love, right? I think being a college athlete is really hard, and the journey that comes with it, there's going to be highs and lows. And how do we help them along this way of that development? And so for me, it's important to be there for the student athlete, develop those relationships, and understand what is their why, and how do we tap into that, right? As far as our, style of play, I think at the end of the day, we want to score more goals than the other team. How do we do that? Varies. And I think our principles remain the same in the sense of it doesn't matter what formation and system that we're playing, but we value the ball, right? We want to keep the ball. We want to build out of the back in a pretty ideal situation, but we also want to give our players the tools to recognize how to break lines, right? At the end of the day, we're not measured by how many passes we connect. We're measured by the score of the game. And are we getting around them, through them, and over them, and how, and the why behind it? And I think that's the part where a lot of people, younger players, need that help and that coaching and understanding the why, right? Of understanding why we might play a certain ball versus another ball. And that's where we do a lot of our coaching, and that's where we do a lot of our development.
Okay. Well, I've got just a couple more for you. Like I said, we are in March, and you guys are in Denver, where it's the weather can be a little bit iffy, I guess, in the
Yep.
wintertime. So,
Yep.
what does your typical kind of off season, spring season look like for you guys?
For sure. We break it into two different parts. We have a winter season, if you will, and that's our 8 hours with the ball. And this is the time where we do a lot of our individual work or functional training. We hit the weight room pretty hard. So a typical week for us is we'll play futsal once a week, and we have a running tournament, and that's been going on for 7 weeks. We just crowned our futsal tournament champion, so that was fun, a golden boot. But we'll go inside for that and use the gym. Once a week, we will do functional training. So we split the group into two different groups, a back six, if you will, front six, and we do different, just a periodization with that small individual and building that up to team function. On Fridays, we do a competitive Friday, fun Fridays, and just having some fun, right? You're 7 weeks, you're not playing any games. You're lifting 3 days a week. You're doing speed school conditioning 1 day a week. You're only touching the ball 3 days a week, and then you're doing a leadership culture talk once a week. And so that can be a grind for some of these players. We do practice in the morning, so it's a little cold, but we've, knock on wood, although it's supposed to snow this weekend. So hopefully we have been outside probably 90% of all that time, except for the futsals inside. And then in the spring, when we start with our back to our normal hours, we're allowed 15 hours a week with 2 days off. We'll have, this spring, we have 6 different games because we're playing a team from Japan. So that gives us an extra date. And we play also 3 Division I teams. It's really important for us to get out there and play the Division I teams. It's a really competitive spring for us, and we want to be challenged in the spring so we can roll right into the fall. And the fall for us, last year we played Point Loma, who won the national championship. This fall we're playing Western Washington, who won the national championship 2 years ago. And so it's important for us to play a really tough non-competitive schedule. The
Conference.
There we go, conference. There we go. And so we can get prepared for the RMAC, which I think is a great conference.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, those are always tough conference and some tough non-conference games there. Well, Coach, you've been generous with your time. I just got to leave you with one last question.
Okay.
You've coached at a lot of different places, a lot of, at the highest levels. Um, if you could boil it down into one piece of advice that you would want players going through the college recruiting process to know, what would that be?
The recruiting process, let's see, that everyone's journey is different, right? And I think even being at MSU Denver here and recruiting on a different calendar, if you will, has really opened my eyes up. I mean, there are some fantastic kids right now in their senior year looking for a home, and everyone's journey is different, right? You have injuries that pop up, you have different things, different events that come through. And, some people commit really early and some people don't realize that they want to play college soccer until really late. And so I think it's important to kind of, keep that confidence going. And if that's the goal that you want to do, you want to play at the next level, there is a spot out there for you. There absolutely is. Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, JC, there are, thousands of spots, roster spots out there, but do the homework, right? Do that homework and understand what you want out of that college experience, and, make sure it's the right fit for you, because it is hard, right? But stay patient, believe in yourself, and do some research along the way and making sure it's the right fit.
Couldn't agree more. Well, Coach, really appreciate it. Wish you the best of luck in your spring season and wrapping up your recruiting class. And if you get down to any of the events in Florida, give me a shout. We'll get together. All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. And thanks for having me on. Good luck with your teams down in Florida.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. It's Matt from Discover College Soccer. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, whether that's on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I also wanted to let you know about the Discover College Soccer Study Table. This is our brand new online portal that is complete with a 14-part online course giving you all of the ins and outs of the college soccer recruiting process. There's also a wealth of resources such as checklists, templates. There's the spreadsheets that have every soccer program in the country, along with their coaches, their contact information, their social media information, some basic stats about the school, and more. Plus, there's an online community where you can ask your questions, share your wins, your losses, any questions that you may have around the college soccer recruiting process. It's all there at the Discover College Soccer study table that you can find at discovercollegesoccer.com/study table, and hopefully we will see you there.